make that kind of money. You know, the majority of games and studios that Microsoft bought does not make COD money, does not make WoW money. You know, and I'm worried what happens to those studios when they're not getting that kind of return. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even look like the hardware is going to be around anyway.
Just another player in the game, right? Microsoft, because the thing is what Microsoft does when things don't work for Microsoft, they give up, and they give up to the point like me rage quitting a game. That's how they give up. They give up like bitches, man. They give up like that. They have like what they're about to do is not going to have an impact on anything. That's how they essentially give up. So
all right, everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today, folks, I think it's time to clear the air. I think it's time to finally talk about the Xbox situation in regards to their hardware, what to expect, what's going on, kind of cut through the rumors the best we can, and go over what I think is the direction for Xbox and their hardware. If you're unaware, or if you can't find the obvious, well, let's cut to the chase and do that for you guys here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is get right to the Xbox hardware situation. If you've not been on social media, or maybe you've been under a rock recently, it's been in turmoil, the Xbox situation in regards to actual dedicated consoles, will they, won't they kind of scenarios and stuff like that. Well, what's been happening additionally is you've been having both ends of the road, or the rope, so to speak, stating one thing or the other. Hey, look, they're dwindling. These big box retailers are dwindling their supply for Xbox hardware as far as the Series S and the X and all that stuff, even some games and all that, physical games. In addition to that, then you have the other side saying, no, that's not the case. I went to my local Walmart, Target, Costco, etc., and they have plenty of stuff there. So it's depending on who you talk to, probably where they're living at in the States, where they're living at maybe in the UK or Canada or wherever, right? They're going to have different stories and scenarios, but there's more evidence leading towards liquidation type aspects, less of a presence and stuff like that. So what I want to do real quick before we go over my thoughts and what I feel like the trajectory is at the end of this video here, let's give you some examples here. The first one here, I'm just showing a picture of, this is the Walmart ad for the holiday time, right? Themed stuff. Yes, this is just showing the Nintendo Switch, not even PlayStation, but if someone was able to go through all of these, they didn't find hide nor hair of Xbox systems or games or anything of that sort. So again, I wish they shared that piece of it, but somebody did, and I lost track of that or whatever the case is. But ultimately, that's kind of what's being said there. Now, again, I haven't had my personal hands-on on this, so take with this what you will. If you did find to get your hands on the holiday ad and guidebook from Walmart, and you did find Xbox hardware and games and stuff like that, please let us know down in the comments section below. Would love to have some clarification there, but that's just kind of what's been said there. We have Cheap A Gamer here, right? Xbox console clearance sale at Sam's Clubs. Prices differ depending on region, location. Xbox Series S, $179 to $239, and then the Series X, around $279.31, which is crazy. So clearly these guys are also moving large stock outside of their retail stores. Now, that being said, this is not for everybody, but people are trying to placate this as this isn't a big deal. Guys, when we're talking about Walmart, we're talking about Target, we're talking about Sam's Club, which is affiliated with Walmart, obviously, the Costco of Walmart's, right? We're talking about Best Buy, we're talking about all these big box retailers. Man, it's a big deal. These are big box retailers. We're not talking about, not that Family Dollar or something like that, or Dollar Tree, Dollar Store sells consoles, but we're not talking about a small one like that, or one that's been liquidized or rarely carries, you know, gaming memorabilia, consoles, hardware, games, all that stuff. This is eye turning. This is head turning, right? So just keep that in mind. As we continue, Shinobi here, Target and Walmart seemingly pulling Xbox stock from store shelves, and quoting from thegamer.com and such. Now, the picture he uses, just in case somebody wants to zoom in, I think this is an older picture. So if you're looking in there being like, hey, this picture's from way back, whatever. Yes, we're aware of that at this point in time. So don't take that picture there to heart or to fruition. But Shinobi was also reporting on this as well. So it's making its rounds. It's not because Xbox needs to be in a negative light or negative news here, but we do have some clarification on a lot of this here, right? So you do have that. But here's another picture here. This one is a recent picture at their local retail store. It looks like Walmart here, I believe. There's absolutely nothing there. This is an out case on a pallet. They're getting rid of that. This looks to be where you have headphones and, controllers as well. So that's interesting to see. And this is additionally into the gamer, right? Target and Walmart are pulling their Xbox stuff according to alleged staff. Now, again, staff is reporting on this. Why do I want to bring this up? Well, because because Destin is doing his investigative journalism so well. He's been calling Costco's, he's been calling Targets, he's been calling Walmart's, speaking to associates, floor staff, and they don't have any information in regards to that. They're like, I haven't heard about it, or we're just haven't received stock, or we only get a shipment in of one console next week. It's varying person to person. And I will tell you this, somebody that's came from those stores in a working career for a while, I will tell you right now, and this is no slight to anybody that's worked there, because I was floor staff as well for a while, but you don't have all the information at your hands. You're there to work. You get bare minimum information. When customers call you and they ask for certain products, they're asking for shipments of when this game or movie or console. And I've been through many console releases back when at retail stores, and we only know what we know, especially when you're a floor staff, right? Pardon my voice chop out there. But ultimately, you just don't know. So to sit there, investigative journalism again, Destin Legary. I was told they're still carrying it, guys. That's his latest excuse, by the way. I was told they're carrying it. Nothing's being pulled, etc., etc. Good old investigative journalism. Now, as you can see here, now he goes back and forth. This is before he made those calls, by the way. He quotes Shinobi there, well, they had a good run, right? His investigative journalism didn't zoom in on the picture and realize that picture was taken from years ago, probably during the holiday time, and they ran out of stuff or whatever the case is. However, he's able to call associates, floor staff, and stuff like that to see if he can get down to the nitty-gritty, so to speak. Now, that being said, what I also want to show is another piece of this here in just a moment, but ultimately, guys, I will tell you, and this is me being truthful, I have no reason to lie to you, if there was plenty of stock at the local stores I was going to, at least at the time I just went out just this past weekend, all right? I went to 2 Targets, all right, in my local area. There was one Series X between both stores. One of the stores had absolutely nothing. It looked very barren. They had, plenty of controllers, so you got the accessories there, but the games were minimal. There was no real consoles, so it looked weird. Walmart also looks to be pushing out a lot of that stuff. I have multiple Walmarts around my surrounding cities and stuff. I have gone through those the past couple weeks just to keep an eye ever since this has been a thing recently, and just trying to see what's kind of going on there. And it does look very minimal as opposed to the PlayStation and Nintendo side of things. Those are being very well stocked. The Nintendo Switch and some of the games and such was being, it seemed like it was being liquidated at first when they were swapping over to the Switch 2, right? But then very quickly afterwards, everything was stockpiled up. Definitely not seeing things moved over into its case like movies and stuff. If you've seen those pictures floating around, stuff like that. At my local Costco, both Costco's, by the way, in surrounding cities, by the way, those absolutely had zero presence of accessories for Xbox, zero presence of GamePass cards, store cards, hardware of any sort. There was nothing there. There was PlayStation and Nintendo. That's all that was there. And that's me being 110% honest with you guys of what I've experienced personally. Again, that may vary city to city. Best Buy seems to have their stuff still in order. Again, I saw one console there. Again, make of that what you will. I'm not going to say they've been liquidating anything. I'm not going to lie about that. But ultimately, for the most part, I'm not seeing a real presence, which is odd. Now we're coming into the holiday season, right? We're coming into the holiday season, and it seems odd to me. People that are excited for Grand Theft Auto 6, which is going to be, whether you love it or hate it, like it or not, it is going to be the biggest thing to release next year, if it does in fact release next year. And that headline and those news lines are making its rounds. So anybody that doesn't have a current gen console is going to be looking to get one. Why, if you weren't pulling your consoles and getting ready in any other way, shape, or form, why you wouldn't have your consoles out there to make that money to sit there and try to garner more clientele, consumers, all that stuff for Grand Theft Auto 6 explicitly, specifically, all that sort of stuff seems really odd to me. So the attachment rate, obviously they're battling with from time to time. Now, recently as well, which I'm not sharing here because I think it's ridiculous, it's Jez Corden, of course, writing for Windows Central, and he's like, no, guys, I got word from Microsoft that basically stating that, the retailers in question, retail stores, big box stores, are still great partners with Microsoft and have no plans to discontinue or anything like that. But that's, again, coming from Jez, who's been lying nonstop. So how do you take him at his word? He's been wrong way more than he's been right. Even when he said he's been talked to with Phil himself and others and tried to reassure folks one way and one direction over the other, has not been the case. So it's hard to take his word for that, but we'll see here. But what I wanted to share, this just right at the time of recording, right before I got to the recording here, I want to share this by Sneaker Snow. Now, he initially was stating, look, the new console or new hardware, the hybrid hardware for Xbox, is kind of up in the air at the moment. Internally, it's up in the air. We're not sure what's going to happen with that, right? What it's going to look like. He didn't say they weren't coming out with the console. He said, we don't know for sure what's going on. It could happen. It could not happen. It's Microsoft. It's Xbox. We have to wait and see what happens ultimately, right? So he recently is kind of responding to what Jez is saying here, right? He goes, in addition to that, someone asked him, so what do you think? Is it the truth or is it just PR damage control and using Jez, right? So he states, PR damage control and Jez go together like peanut butter and jelly. Now, before I continue here, keep in mind Sneaker SO, he's been right with most of his leaks. He's been one of the most accurate leakers out there. He hasn't gotten 110% everything right, but he's gotten most things right, so keep that in mind. As we continue, I just don't understand, even if you have a modicum of integrity, not even as a, quote, journalist, but just as a consumer, you'd have to just take anything this company tells you with a mountain of salt, given just how often they have outright lied or misled you, and even knowingly used you to funnel good PR for them. Huge. These are big words, right? As far as accusations and assumptions, and I feel they're correct as well. You were a contracted PR asset that wasn't even on the payroll. You simply got access, and yet he's still here worshiping at the altar for a company that doesn't even see him as worth being anything more than a propaganda marketing arm for them, unpaid and exploited at every turn, only to be tossed out when the things he is staking his reputation on, arguing against, inevitably come to a pass, as it has countless times before. Kind of what I was alluding to, right? Jez has not been right, and it may be the contacts and resources that he's given, and he probably does have those within Microsoft, but they're giving him bullcrap information, and it's hurting his reputation, and he continues to bounce back and continue to do this for them while being unpaid. At least when it comes to ordinary consumers, Microsoft actually puts money into trying to appeal to them to get them to buy their product. Jez is viewed even lower than that. Ouch. 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 Let's keep going here. He has one more piece, right? Astray said, setting him aside, how does Microsoft plan to even rebuild relationships with retails, etc.? Even if they might not sell consoles anymore, I presume they are still planning on selling controllers, subscription cards, etc., especially given that they sell to PC users as well. I don't think they're going to repair. the relationships, at least not when it comes to Xbox. For the most part, retailers will be happy carrying the few accessories Microsoft does produce as long as it moves. And subscription cards can be found most anywhere, right? You can go to a Barnes & Noble, you can go anywhere, right, to find those cards. In the future, I see a lot of the Xbox branding being phased out just to move away from the brand association with Xbox and letting Microsoft focus on Microsoft Gaming label instead, and allowing them to expand the reach of controllers and headsets into certain ecosystems more easily. And that's the end of that, guys. Ultimately, I'm really glad this came in right before this part here, but I wanted to specifically speak on this and what I think of the hardware, what I think Xbox is going to do next, what it looks like for their future. So I'm not pulling from this. I had this thought before this came through, and this doesn't necessarily totally allude to it, even though it does. So you're going to ask me, and I've had people reaching out already with my past couple videos, right? That's why I wanted to get this one out on Friday here today, that you'll be seeing this. And what's going on, and we'll have to see. Hopefully this video doesn't age badly, right? As far as information coming out that just kind of highlights the actual definition of what's going to happen, and someone comes out and clearly states, whether it be Phil himself or whoever. But what's going to happen, I believe, with Xbox going forward, and everybody and all the fanboys, and you got everybody in defense mode on social media right now, that's the shills, frauds, grifters, and all that stuff. They're on there saying, don't believe these guys, they're not liquidating, they're not dead, you know, Microsoft is not going away, they're still there, they always say they're dead, all this stuff, right? That's not what we're saying. They know that's not what we're saying. And when I say we, I mean anybody with a brain and sees the direction which Xbox and Microsoft is going into. We're stating them as a dedicated hardware, dedicated console, first-party dedicated console, they're done. I believe they're done, 110%. If they aren't, and they surprise me, and they do come out with their next-gen hardware piece, and it is truly first-party, and when I say first party, I mean not an OEM situation like the ROG Ally X, which is not an Xbox. Argue with your moms. It's a ROG Ally. It's a handheld PC. Has nothing to do with your Xbox. You can't play everything natively, etc., etc. And people go back and forth on that. But anyways, the point being is if it's a dedicated first party thing, we don't have a third party situation going on again, like the ROG Ally X, I would be completely and utterly shocked. Would I be upset if somebody's trying to turn that around and be upset? No, that's on them. I think the damage and reputation is so far damaged and gone that I think it would be absolutely bonkers for them to do that and take that kind of hit, because it's not going to move. They could come out with a first party console for next generation, whether that be next year, whether it be in 28, whether it be in 6 months from now, it doesn't matter. The damage is done. I mean, that's why they're having to do so much damage control on the weekends when they shouldn't even be working. They're doing damage control. And so are there people like Jez and stuff, right? So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is I would be shocked if they did. If they did, I think it's going to be a big, abysmal disappointment for them financially, regarding a business side of things. I don't think it would sell that well. You get the hardcore base, again, buying into it because that's what they do. But aside from that, if you're looking to do anything, move the needle, do better than the last gen, stuff like that, I don't even think it would do as good as the Series X or S situation we're in now. We'd have to wait and see what's offered via the ecosystem and what the hardware offers, etc., and the price point and all that stuff. But what I feel is going to happen is they're going to continue with the OEM and third-party situation. Best case scenario. This hybrid situation, I think, is going to be more of an OEM type of situation. And whatever happens there, right? Do I think Microsoft or Xbox is going to go away? No, not anytime soon as far as a brand, because why would you? You own ABK, ZeniMax, and all the other IPs and companies that you have. You've invested into AI wholeheartedly. You can have that do all the heavy lifting. You've done a ton of layoffs. There's hard rumored evidence and rumors flying around that they're going to have another unfortunate massive layoff situation happening in the beginning of the first quarter of 2026. That's a problem. But they're going full third party, guys. They're going to be EA, Ubisoft, whatever, but obviously a much more lucrative form and a much more successful form of that. But they're going to be, you want to buy a ROG Ally X, you want to buy a whatever X or Xbox this or Xbox that's OEM and third party. That's what they're going to try to do. Now, if those partnerships end up not moving units and it's costing Microsoft more money to collaborate and do stuff with them and it's not working out and it's damaging brands and reputation of those they're partnering with because everybody's going to be laughing and scoffing at an Xbox and what is an Xbox and everything's an Xbox, then they're going to pull away from that as well. And that's okay because Microsoft, Xbox, GamePass, all that stuff as a brand, a third-party brand, a third-party publisher brand is going to be okay. They're going to be very successful in regards to that, and that's okay. But that's the piece that I think the fans, fanboys, fraud, shills, grifters need to make, is that's likely the direction they're going to do and how that's going to come to fruition, right? I don't foresee a dedicated console. And again, if it does, it happens, and that's fine. If it does, I'm not saying 100% they will not. I'm saying it's likely. I'm feeling there's a 70-75% chance that they just go in the direction of OEM third-party stuff and they phase everything out. And everything we went over today in regards to the evidence and everything I've seen with my own two eyes in person is leading me to believe that that's the case. You don't just get rid of all this stuff in these big box retail stores around the holiday season especially. I mean, the holiday season is starting now, guys. That's when people start looking at it. They start pre-buying for families, friends, spouses, whatever. That's how it goes. And games and gaming and entertainment is a huge part of the holiday season. That being said, that's where I just feel like it's a snowball effect. I don't believe that they are going to retcon this. I don't believe they're going to be like, oh, our bad. We let a contract lapse over here at most of these retail stores. We're going to get that back. What I think is going to happen is they're okay with letting that go because these third-party OEM deals and stuff like that is going to be considered PC. So where are those products going to go? In the PC section. Costco has a PC section. Walmart, Fred Meyer's, Target, Sam's Club, all the big box retail stores have PC areas. Best Buy have PC areas. And that's where those Xbox OEM devices will be living. That's where they're going to be trying to sell their partnerships and all that stuff. They want to make money off of selling their games and putting those games everywhere. That means Nintendo, that means PlayStation, and of course that means PC and whatever you're going to consider an Xbox, whether that be your phone, whether that be your iPad, whether it be whatever you want to play that particular game on. If it's available to be played on that, that's what's going to happen. So that ends probably the long-winded version of that, but I think this all needed to be said. I think this needed to be spaced out. Again, I had a lot of folks reaching out to me privately, social media, whether it be this channel, whether it be on other social media platforms, reaching out to me, asking me about this. So I feel very confident about that direction of what we can expect from Xbox as a whole. And I think we needed to have this kind of TED Talk and situational breakdown about what to expect. And those sitting there trying to play damage control like the Jezzes and every other minor fanboy that's also echoing and parroting that sort of stuff is trying to damage control that to the highest degree. And here, I'm just here trying to be honest and truthful and give out those options and what is leaning towards the whole likeliness of what Xbox's future is going to be. Now, we will end the video here before we make this too long here. I appreciate you sticking around for the entirety of the video. I would love to hear from you all. What's your thoughts and opinions? Do you agree with me? Do you not? If you don't, please let me know down in the comments below. Would love to hear why you think Xbox is still going to have a first-party dedicated console. If you think that's the case, please let us know. I would love to have some facts build that up, but everything I've stated, holiday season, looks like liquidation from a lot of big box retail stores. The units, they're moving like 30,000 units worldwide a month. That's not huge. Their future is definitely up in the air, but would love to hear from y'all. All faucets, all different ideas, opinions, would love to hear from you there. Every like as well, both those things do help out the algorithm. If you haven't already, folks, definitely consider subscribing. If you want more of the truth, you want more of these talks, you want more of the salty batch files, all the fun stuff, that's what we're here to be, and I'm here to be as honest and truthful with you guys as possible, unlike most of the other channels out there. Look it up, it's the truth. That being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you next time on the next Xvault Gaming video, and until then, take care.